All right, guys, so I want to talk about the remove phase. This is step one. This is currently where we're at, even in week 2. And we're actually going to be removing kind of all the way through, but the emphasis is mainly remove in the first 30 days. So what are we removing? Well, basically the trash of the body, in a sense, anything harmful that's going to get in the way of you losing weight and getting back to doing what you want to do. But inflammation is the big one. So we've got to dampen inflammation and remove things that will cause further inflammation. So we don't want to get rid of it and add it. We just want to get rid of it without adding it. And so we want to make a universal drop in inflammation. You also have to remove sensitivities. Sensitivities to foods is the big one. Sometimes you could test for these. After 10 years of clinical experience, I'm pretty good without a test. We could test for 96. Actually, there's one that does 208 foods. That's a whole other animal to deal with sometimes. I had a lady that had 53 foods she had to avoid, and then it just was this. It was a big learning lesson. She got the results she wanted, but it was not the ideal journey to get there. So sensitivities, they do work. There's a lot of bad testing out there, so it's expensive to get a good quality test. You're looking at probably $300-400 to get a good food test, an accurate food test, not an allergy test. That one doesn't tell you anything. It measures the totally wrong thing. So anyways, I can navigate you through these. You just watch your symptoms. The biggest way to know without a test is, let's say I struggle with brain fog and joint pain. Those are my 2 symptoms, and bloating, just throwing them out there. Well, if I eat a food and any of those 3 symptoms, my brain fog, bloating, or joint pain gets worse, I need to avoid that food. So if anything gets noticeably worse right after a meal, think about, what did I just eat? Is there anything obvious that I shouldn't have eaten? And what can I remove? And then you can do trial and error and figure it out. It takes a little bit of work, but it saves you the money. And sometimes the stress of dealing with 53 foods that you can't eat. So sensitivities, their foods is a big one, but environmental stuff. Toxicities, again, you talk about environment. There's heavy metals everywhere. We have amalgams even in our teeth. OSHA says if you break a thermometer, an old school mercury thermometer, you have to call out the hazmat team. They got to wear the full body suit. But if you put mercury directly in the oral cavity, then it's fine and it's harmless. It's not. So if you've got amalgams, we know that we have heavy metals in our tissues. And they build up. Mercury is bad stuff. Lead is bad stuff. Cadmium is everywhere. So I mean, it's used. They're just in our environment, and you can be as clean as you want to be, but you're still exposed to them. So we've got to figure out which toxins are there. So that's why we support the liver, gallbladder, kidney, and large intestine, our organs of elimination. And so a lot of what we have is going through and upregulating the liver. A lot of those supplements you're taking. Supplements are some of the best ways to jump in, and they're not your. You can get in trouble with supplements just like you can with pharmaceuticals if you're using it to cover up symptoms. But if you're using them to remove the root cause, then it works much better. Medications just can't do that. So then there's triggers. Again, some of these there's a little overlap within these, but triggers. There can even be emotional triggers. Work can have triggers, relationships can have triggers, but anything about our environment that's going to stimulate the wrong responses and the wrong physiology, we got to remove that out. So again, if there's a wildfire and it just happens, Lord forbid, but it spreads into a neighborhood and now there's houses on fire, well, yes, everybody evacuates, but the first thing you have to do is put the fire out. You're not going to rebuild a house while it's still burning. So that's the same thing we do here is you put the fire out, take all the matches out so there's no other fires that can start. Now the fire is tame and it's not going to just get out of control again. Now we can rebuild with certainty, knowing that we're headed in the right direction. So you remove it, you rebuild and repair it, and then you rebalance it and the rebalancing is like the organ function and the physiology and the hormone function and neurotransmitters like dopamine or serotonin, things like this. So you got to rebalance physiology. But that's the big idea. Right now, you're in step 1. Let's put the fire out. All right.